What's up, guys? Who out there has got a big idea? I mean, the type of idea you've been turning over in your brain for days, for weeks, for months, and it's a good idea. But here's the thing. It's an idea that probably is going to take some help to get across the finish line. Now, I want you to hear this quote, and I want you to be thinking about this quote as we're working through this podcast. And that quote is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Now, in the previous podcast, we've talked all about our flywheel. And if you remember, the first part of the flywheel is called dialed in. It's about dialing in the team. And the first part of dialed in is called the alignment effect. And if you recall, we have that diagram where we've got all the arrows in the shape of an arrow pointed in the same direction. And the other one, we've got an arrow of a bunch of little arrows and they're pointed in all different directions. Well, which one's going to get more traction? Which one's going to have a bigger impact? All right, I think that's pretty obvious. That's the arrow made of a bunch of arrows going in the same direction. And we talked about last time, the first way to do that is to get a bunch of people on the bus that have a shared belief, who already have your core values inside of them. So we're going to assume that you've done that with your organization. So what's next? When you have a big idea, a big project that's going to take a lot of people to get across the finish line, there's a way to do it that works really well, and there's a way to do it that doesn't work very well. And we're going to highlight that, and we call it the impact equation. All right, it's called the impact equation. The impact equation is all about getting people's hearts invested in the idea, not just their hands. Not just their hands. So heart, not hands. And here's what that looks like, okay? So the impact equation looks like this. Okay, you are a world-class leader, okay? Right? So you are really smart. You've got the job for a reason. You're smart, you're talented, you put a lot of work and effort into your ideas, okay? And over here, we have your idea. And we're gonna rank that idea from 1 to 10, okay? Now over here, we have the buy-in of that idea, all right? The buy-in from 1 to 10, because remember that quote and what we talked about, if you wanna go fast, go alone. If you wanna go far, go together, okay? So just be thinking about that when we're talking about buy-in. Now, like I said, you've been turning this idea over in your brain for a long time, and you're smart and you're talented, so I'm gonna give you some credit and I'm gonna say your idea is a 9 out of 10. Congratulations, you have got a fantastic idea, all right? Your idea is so good that you're gonna go to the team and you're just gonna lay that down and say, here you go, guys. Look at that amazing 9 out of 10 idea, right? And what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? This idea that they had absolutely no input on. What do you think is gonna happen? You think they're gonna be thrilled? You think they're gonna be high-fiving? Oh, thanks, boss, appreciate that. That's what you were thinking about when you were coming up with the idea and coming down like Moses with the 10 Commandments saying, here you go, right? But what's gonna happen to the buy-in? The buy-in's not gonna be very good, right? Because people wanna be part of a world that they helped create. But you didn't allow that to happen because you worked out the idea all yourself. You want to go fast and you deliver it to them. And so what's their buy-in? I'm going to say their buy-in's a 2. Okay? I think their buy-in's a 2. So we got a 9 out of 10 idea and we got a 2 out of 10 on the buy-in. All right? But let's say you slow down a bit. You slow down a bit and you come to the team and you say, hey team, there's this thing that I want to do. Here's kind of where I want to go. There's a lot of different ways to get there. I've got some ideas, but here's the thing. In order for us to get there, we need everybody working together. And in order to do that, I need to get your fingerprints all over this idea because you've got a lot of good ideas. You've got perspectives that I can't see. I have blind spots and you're gonna help me work through that. You're gonna help us work through that. So we're gonna take some time. We're gonna talk about that North Star area that we wanna get, destination that we wanna get, and you're gonna give me all of your input that you think is going to get us there in the best way. Now, team, I'm the leader and I'm going to reserve the right to make a decision. All right. Now, maybe you've got 50 people, 20 people, 10 people that you're going to be asking all of their ideas. Maybe those 10 people are going to go to their team. So you say, hey, look, you get it. There's going to be 50 people that are giving ideas on this. I can't do all 50 people's ideas, right? That's not reasonable. But I can guarantee you this, I'm going to listen and I'm going to really mull over the input that you've given me. And I can guarantee you this, if you don't give me any of your input, then none of your input and none of your fingerprints are going to make their way to the idea. But I am going to reserve the right to make the final call. Is that cool, team? Everybody's going to understand that's cool. And they're going to appreciate the fact that you actually want to hear their perspective and their ideas. Of course, that takes time. That may take multiple meetings. You're going to get all of their input and you've got to mull it over, maybe mull it over with some other leaders and then come back to them and say, hey, here's some themes that I'm seeing from all of the feedback that I'm getting from you guys. And you're going to slowly work your way to a final idea. All right. Now, I personally think that final idea is going to be better than just your idea. Okay. But to illustrate the power of the impact equation, let's just pretend. Let's pretend we go slower and we get everybody's input and the idea actually got worse. It's not going to get worse, but let's just pretend it did get worse. So now that idea goes to an 8. It's not, I promise you, it's going to go up, but let's just pretend it goes to an 8. What happened to the buy-in though? What did the buy-in do? Remember, you got everybody's feedback. You got their input. You got their heart, not just their hands. You got their fingerprints all over the idea. I think that buy-in's going to go at least to an 8. It might go higher, but let's just go 8. I'm a tough grader. All right. Now here's what you do with the impact equation. All right. You times these numbers together. You times these numbers together. Okay. 9 times 2 is 18. I haven't had a math class in years. I hope I'm right. 8 times 8 is 64. All right. Well, 64 is bigger than 18. All right. So let me ask you this. Which one of these ideas, which one of these ways is going to have a bigger impact? You already know the answer. You already know the answer. I just recently had a major retailer. I'm not going to say their name, a billion-dollar retailer that we were talking to, and they were struggling with how to get buy-in. I talked about the impact equation with them, and here's what happened. A lot of these. Because deep down, you know it. Deep down, you know this idea. It's all about execution, and execution is all about buy-in. And you know deep down, whether you've heard this phrase or not, is that people want to be part of a world they help create. But here's the problem. You're impatient. You're impatient. You spent a lot of time already. You ever heard of the marathon effect? You spent so much time on this idea, you've already ran 90% of that marathon. Then you go to everybody with your idea, they're just getting started. They're at the starting line. So instead, you got to swallow your pride, all right? And you got to slow down and you got to get their fingerprints because you need their buy-in. And like I said, caveat it with them because sometimes people say, well, I gave my opinion, they didn't do it. Well, Bill, I had to get 50 people's opinions, all right? And I had my opinion. So you just tell them up front, you say, hey, I want your opinions. I want your input. I want your fingerprints. I can't guarantee we're going to do what everybody wants to do, but I can guarantee you I'm going to listen. And I can also guarantee if you don't give me your feedback, it's never going to make its way into the idea, all right? So that is how you get max impact. Now, this can work its way out. You could be doing an ERP or an MRP implementation, right? And you've got this team that's spending all their time and energy, their sleeves are rolled up, but something that's that big like an ERP or an MRP, you're gonna need the team's feedback. You're gonna need a lot of people's feedback so that end result is really the thing that serves the most amount of people the best. But it's going to take longer. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to sit in some people that are at the starting line of the marathon when you're halfway through or 3/4 through, and you're going to have to bite your tongue until maybe blood comes out because you're already 10 steps, but they've got valuable things. And if you can just get outside of yourself and die to yourself a little bit and the pride that you have, you can actually really discover some unique and impactful insights. But even more important than that, you are going to get buy-in. You are going to get their heart, not just their hands. Now, there's a story where we did this with our core values, and this was the first time we'd ever done our core values. So this is maybe 15, 16 years ago. And it's an area where I was really proud how we did that. We walked all of the managers and team through what core values are, what they aren't, okay? And we'll do that in another video, how to do that. But then we said, hey, we want you to go to the team. We want you to explain what core values are, like what permission to play values are, what core values are, what aspirational core values are. Again, we'll get into that later. And then we had them say, what do you think they are? What do you think they are? What do you think makes us unique and makes us really stand out? We can't guarantee that everything you say is going to make its way into our 4 or 5 core values, but you've got some valuable insights into what makes us unique, and we want to hear that. So we went through several different iterations of that with our entire company. We might have had 120 people at the time. And at the end, when we finally came up with our core values, guess what? They were celebrated by the team because the team could see themselves in those core values, as opposed to, hey, everybody, here's our core values. And they're like, that's not us. That's not what we're all about. You see, we got their heart, not just their hands. Now I'm going to finish with this story. It's one of my favorite stories. And I think it's going to have its impact on you like it had its impact on me. So this is a story about 2 warring tribes. One tribe is at the top of the mountain and one tribe is at the base of the mountain. And they're constantly fighting. And at one point, the tribe at the top of the mountain comes down, raids the village, the tribe at the bottom of the mountain, and steals a baby. They steal a baby and they go back up to the top of the mountain. Well, the tribe at the bottom of the mountain says, we can't have that. So they get their 10 strongest warriors to go up the mountain and get that baby back. One problem, they don't know how to get up the mountain. They don't know the way. The tribe at the top of the mountain does, but they don't know. So try as they might, they can get only about halfway up that mountain. And they're trying everything they can, and finally they throw up their head and say, we can't get up the mountain. And they're about to go back, empty-handed, no baby. But all of a sudden, they look, and emerging up a little higher on the mountain is this figure. And out from the top of the mountain, it's the mother carrying the baby. She's got the baby, and these 10 strong warriors, they're dumbfounded. Finally, they get the ability to speak, and they say, how? How were you able to get up this mountain and get this baby when us, the 10 strongest warriors, weren't able to get up the mountain? She looks at them and she says, that's easy. It wasn't your baby. It wasn't your baby. It was my baby. And so I was going to find a way up that mountain. When you have a big project, you need to make it their baby, your team's baby, not just your baby, okay? And they are going to have superhuman effort in order to get the baby because they've got their fingerprints all over the idea. So if you have a big project, it's going to require a lot of hands. You got to get their hearts. The best way to get their hearts is to get their fingerprints. Help them create a world that they can be a part of. Use the impact equation. Listen, guys, movements are built on connection. If this resonated, share it and join the conversation. Hit that subscribe button or check the show notes where you can follow me on all my socials. Or check out more about the movement at vortexcare.com. Let's build something rare together.